Ready?
Yep, we're good to go.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the Mass Office Hours. As previously stated, we are going to go over the quick update feature in FCP and how we can perform an expedited review process in our modifications. I am Paula Hans. I'm a procurement analyst with the Mass Service Center 3, otherwise known as FCBAD. And I have with me today Jay Cora, who's going to take us over in a live demonstration of the quick update feature and also some new and improved features available via the quick update process. So without further ado, we're going to get you through this topic today. So first of all, we're going to go over the purpose of the quick update feature and the expedited review process, how it works, some key considerations to consider, and then Jake is going to take us through a live demonstration of the quick update process. So what was the purpose of the quick update feature? Why was it developed? The quick update process helps vendors to submit what we would refer to as a clean mod. This allows them to submit this mod to the workforce for potential expedited review. What are some of the challenges that we face when we are doing mods? With product files, they tend to contain a lot of compliance and pricing flags at times, which require additional review. In order to complete the mod, typically you would have to resolve those pricing or compliance flags prior to approving. This can delay the review process. Additional revisions and negotiations may be necessary, which can further delay the award process. What does a quick update help vendors do? It helps them to identify products requiring additional review prior to submission of the offer. They can separate out those flagged items and products before processing their mod for approval. They can submit cleaner product modifications without any errors or compliance flags. It helps them to support a more efficient and effective review and help the CO to more quickly process the mod and award it. Get to the next slide here. So what is a clean mod? A clean mod is a complete and accurate modification submission that requires little to no additional clarification, no negotiations, no corrections prior to award. We're going to go over today some of the characteristics of a clean mod. A clean mod does not just mean no flags. It has to contain all the required documents to support the modification, addressed in the Mass Modification Guide. You must have accepted the most current refresh for this clean mod process. You need to have a complete and accurate product file. There can be no compliance or data integrity flags. The products must be within scope of the SIN that you're offering the item. You need to have a sufficient compliance and pricing tool data available. So if there's no market research found, then that would take it to no longer being a clean mod, meaning that it does not allow expedited review. The pricing has to be within an established market threshold. And if you're doing an EPA, the increase must be in line with the established method and mechanism. It can only include the increases that are associated with established method or mechanism. It cannot include any other actions for the EPA mod when it comes to a clean mod process. Modifications meeting this cleaner process allows for more of an expedited view by our COs and CSs. So what is the expedited review process? The purpose of the expedited review process is to help the mass acquisition workforce easily identify modifications that we are defining as clean mods for prioritized and quick review. This uses the absence of the compliance and pricing flags as an indicator that the modification may be a clean flag as long as all the other requirements are met. Eligible mod types are add product modifications and economic price adjustments based on established pricing only. So if you have a market index, then this would not be the proper, that you would not be able to do an expedited review. It does have to be an FCP modification at this time. So just wanted to clarify that. That's the only process that'll have that quick update process. What to expect. The mass acquisition acquisition workforce will still conduct all the required reviews. But if there are no issues requiring clarifications, negotiations, corrections, then the modification process can be much more quickly done and the modification can be expedited. What's the takeaway? A clean product file may initiate an expedited review by your CS and CO, but all modifications do remain subject to the standard submission requirements, such as you have to have a cover letter. The cover letter needs to explain exactly what you're doing in this modification. The items have to be within the scope of the SIN. So those things don't go away with this expedited review process. So how does a quick update work? Now I'm going to do just a little high-level overview. Jake is going to take us through a live demonstration and really take us deeper into the process. So the first thing you want to do is you want to review those compliance and pricing report results. After uploading the product files, you may review your identified compliance and pricing flags. Step 2, you can apply a quick update. Select issues to address. The quick update allows vendors to select the categories of flags they wish to remove. If you want to get this mod process more quickly, you're going to remove all the flagged items. So exceeds market threshold, no market research found, within market threshold, low outlier, self-hits only. That just got added. I'm super excited about it today. So Jake is going to introduce that as well. Unauthorized vendor, prohibited products, MIA, etc., etc. So if you mark all these and remove all them from your mod, you're going to help yourself get to a quicker review. And then those other items that were not included in this mod type can be submitted under a different mod. Step 3, FCP generates a proposed product file with the updates, and it contains those products ready to move forward. Step number 2, the proposed removal file contains the products removed based upon the selected categories. The next step is the vendor submits the updated product file. The vendors may submit the generated product file for our review upon completion of this process. So, with quick updates, process product file with quick updates contains products without compliance, data, or integrity, or in pricing flags. That's what allows for that expedited review. Products removed based on selected flag categories. Original submitted information retained for future reference. Vendors should review these flags. That's what goes in that proposed removal file. So the proposed product file with the updates includes everything that you removed. What's important to note, products with remaining flags will exclude the modification from expedited review. So if you really want to get that expedited review done, remove the items with flags and address them in a separate mod. Some key considerations to ensure that the changes match the modification type. So we have had a little bit of struggles with this over the course of the last year actually with the transition to FCP. So I did want to explain something to y'all. For add product mods, you only add products that are within the scope of the SIN that you are adding the items to. That is something that we're really looking at right now. We really want to ensure that the products that are awarded are within the scope of the SIN offered. So that is one thing that you want to do prior to submission of the mod is look to see if the items are within scope of the SIN. If you are doing it in an EPA, do not include any non-EPA related changes. If you're changing something from a quantity of 1 to a quantity of 12, that is not an EPA. If you are changing the description of your item, that is not an EPA. It is truly an increase associated with a change in your established pricing, and it needs to be in line with that change in established pricing if you want to go with the expedited review process. So if your price raises by 10% commercially, GSA would expect to see a 10% or less increase to us. If it's a 70% increase to us and a 2% increase to the commercial, we're going to have questions, we're going to have to talk about it, and it's going to take it out of that expedited review process. So these are some things to remember when you are trying to get your mod through more quickly and efficiently. Please remember that unrelated changes may require additional review. So please ensure that your ad product modification includes only items within scope, and then an EPA modification includes only items that are increasing in price due to a change in established pricing in line with your method and mechanism. So, as we just talked about like in a couple slides ago, there is a very exciting update. At least I'm super excited about it because I don't have to do manual reviews now. With this quick update feature, you now can apply quick updates to self-hits only and missing or invalid flags. So previously we had to do manual reviews, and as you can see, these people on the right are super excited about this. Now you can actually remove those items with that quick update process. Some key considerations to consider with this quick update process. Review all your pricing and compliance flags very carefully. Use that quick update process to the maximum extent to remove those flags, those items that have flags. You do want to go back and review those items in the future if you want to add them. Verify that the product file changes are in line with the modification type. Review that modification for unrelated changes, specifically with an EPA, prior to submission. Ensure that all required modification documents are still submitted, and make sure to accept that refresh, especially with refresh 32, where you actually only have 30 days to accept it. Submit the cleanest modification possible to support efficient review and processing. By the way, I should have said that better. With refresh 32, it must be accepted within 30 days of when you receive the modification, not 30 days of today. Just want to make sure I clarified that. But make sure to get all those items of the flags out of the process via this quick update process and submit everything in the right manner and under the right type, and you will see benefits on the outcome side because you're going to be able to get that modification awarded more quickly and efficiently. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jake for a live demonstration.
Thanks, Paula.
Jake, take it away. I'll let you share your screen.
Yep, thanks, Paula. 1 second. All right, just confirming everyone can see my screen.
We can see it now.
Awesome, great. Let me see if I can pull this down real quick so it's not in the way so much. Okay, good. So good afternoon. My name is Jake, and I'll be providing a bit more information about the quick updates feature. During the course of this demonstration, we're going to review how users can submit their products file, how to review the compliance and pricing report, how to navigate the quick updates feature, what files the quick updates feature generates, how to leverage the files produced by the quick updates, and when quick updates 2.0 will be available for users. So first and foremost, getting your catalog action to this point. So I'm just going to briefly review. I'm not going to show this process, but you guys are likely familiar with it. So you would initiate a modification in eMod. Once you generate that mod ID within eMod, you would then navigate here to FCP and initiate a catalog action. In this case, I've initiated a change products action. And after initiating that change products action or an action in general, I would identify the mod that I just created, that mod ID that I just created. I would then upload the appropriate file for the change products. And then after I upload this file to FCP and all the data validations and business rule validations are completed, this compliance and pricing report will be generated and presented here in the catalog overview page. So just some quick information about the CMP report. This report's going to aid you guys in developing a competitive and compliant submission for CSCO review. Please keep in mind that this market research processing time is totally dependent on the size of the product file and the volume of reports that are currently in the queue for processing. Just a quick note, most of these transactions are going to be completed within about 2 business days, but it could take longer. And it's important to note that you should not resubmit the file before results are received, since resubmitting is going to negatively impact your processing time. So let it do its thing, and please be patient as the market research is returned. So the CMP report is going to be presented in 2 ways, right? The first of which is the file itself under the product file with CMP section. And then the second format is the on-screen market summary with the catalog within the catalog actions page. So basically, this section is highlighting the different issue types that need to be addressed. And we're going to drill down into the CMP report itself to learn more about which products are impacted and the different flags that they've been applied. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the CMP report. Just for the sake of this demonstration, I went ahead and downloaded this prior. So let's see. When reviewing the compliance and pricing report, this Excel file is going to just reveal a lot more info regarding the market research results for individual products. The results summary tab here, this is the section we're looking at, is going to offer a breakdown of the market research results. The report contains the findings from the market research, and those items include, the market threshold status and pricing information section here, pricing and manual research. This section here, this is one of our primary issues of concern, and then the subsequent flags are listed here. In this example, you can see the different.
Jake,
Yes, ma'am.
can you make the screen font a little larger by chance? Is that
Sure.
possible?
Yeah,
Sorry, we
let's
just
do
had that
that.
question.
Yeah, no worries. Let's do that. How about that?
Maybe
Okay,
a little bigger,
a little bigger. Okay.
if you can.
Yes, ma'am. And then, real quick, when in terms of like the size, is this large enough, or do I need to zoom in here as well?
Maybe zoom in just a little bit.
Sure. Is that good?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay, so like I was saying, our issues of concern are listed here within the report and the subsequent flags within that issue of concern. So for pricing and manual research, we have exceeding market threshold, no market research found, low outlier and self hits only. The next issue of concern is compliance. That includes the flag unauthorized vendor, prohibited products, et cetera, et cetera. And then lastly, data integrity here. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the products tab. So you guys can view each line item within the products tab. And this is going to include several new columns that are not listed in your original product file. These columns are highlighted in this lime green and they're system generated. So I wanted to note that just because, a lot of folks will reach out and say, hey, I'm seeing these column headers that I'm not familiar with, and the alignment's not the same. I'm not seeing the same file information. So just wanted to foot stomp that there. And then another quick note, vendor comments is the only section here with the green column header that we want to adjust, right? But you can definitely write notes in here as needed, and that is for CSC overview. Okay. So please note that products are sorted in priority. So our different rows are sorted, and the priority order is related to the primary order is products that exceed market threshold, right? So these are going to be seen first. Okay. Our flag summary is listed here. So as you can see, you can have multiple flags for one product. All right, so this is exceed market threshold and review LOS requirement. I want to make a note here. Please don't make changes to part numbers or manufacturer names within the CMP report. If you do, then this then the system will view them as new items, and you're going to run into some issues down the road. Okay. So the same info that we just reviewed within the CMP report can be found within the review CMP results summary within FCP, but with the added bonus of being able to complete a quick update, right? So that's what we're trying to do. So let's go ahead and select review the CMP results summary. Okay. And this review CMP results summary includes the following general information that's very similar to what we just saw on the results summary page. The market threshold status and pricing information, the market threshold status breakdown, and those issues of concern, right? So it's the same information that we just saw, but just displayed here within FCP. So with that, we can create a quick update. So let's go ahead and do that. So at this point, we've reviewed our issues of concern. And we know that the only issue of concern that we need to remove is exceeds market threshold. We're going to see some updates to this modal here that we're going to review in a little bit. But as of right now, this is the view that you're going to experience within FCP. So in order to remove those flags, I'll go ahead and select exceed market threshold and then apply update. So just a quick informational pop-up here. Whenever we complete this quick update, it's going to generate two files, the proposed product file with updates and the proposed removals file. So let's go ahead and select apply update. Okay. So what's happening now is FCP is generating an updated CMP report that excludes the products associated with those previously identified flags, right? The exceeds market threshold flags. Note that the that LOS flag is, you're not going to be able to remove that via a quick update. And from what I understand, it's not necessary to do so because you'll be able to provide some documentation. And we'll go ahead and demonstrate how to do that here in a little bit. Okay. All right, so like we had mentioned, after we selected that apply update button, we got these two additional files, the proposed product file with updates file and the proposed removals file. Okay, so let's go ahead and open the proposed product file with updates. Okay, so as you can see, our results summary is now different, right? We have only 8 products now listed as opposed to the 24 that we previously noticed. We have no issues of concern, no exceeding market threshold flags for the pricing and manual research issue of concern. So we're in good shape. And if we segue to the products tab, we can now see that the flag summary only includes those review LOS requirement flags. We do not have those 16 other products here with the corresponding exceed market threshold flag, right? So let's go ahead and add a vendor comment here for the review LOS requirement. So let's go ahead and just add something like, please see LOS attached to the modification. Okay, we'll go ahead and apply it to all these different items. Okay. So just a quick note, for an add action, the CSEO is going to need to determine if the current LOS covers those products here that were flagged. Okay. Please note at this point, vendors cannot add new products to the product file, right? Again, I just want to foot stomp that and make that abundantly clear. All right. So let's go ahead and save this. Bear with me as my machine thinks about what we're doing. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at the proposed removals file, right? That's the second file that was generated from our quick update. Let's go ahead and download that one. Place it here. And this file here is going to show all those products that we removed, right? As you can see, we're only showing the items that were removed from our initial product file. They're listed here. As you can see, the results summary flags are listed here as the exceeding market threshold, which is what we want, right? And this file is going to be very important for the follow-up action that we'll need to create in order to address these pricing issues. So this is the crux of what we're trying to accomplish here, right? Let's get what we know. We'll pass a quick review with the CSEOs out the door and address these 16 other products in a subsequent modification for additional consideration. Okay. So, in our example, well, let's discuss a different scenario, right? So like another scenario outside of the market research flag might be something like a Trade Agreement Act compliance issue, right? So the subsequent action, right, would be to complete a delete products action. And this is the type of file, right? This removed file would be used for that subsequent delete modification. Okay, so back to our scenario. We reviewed our proposed product file with updates, and we need to go ahead and upload that file. So we'll go ahead and select the choose from folder link here, and then we'll look at the downloads area and check out our file. Okay, and go ahead and give it an upload. And then we'll select send files to emod. Okay. At this point, once we receive the message that our files were successfully sent to emod, there'll be a corresponding email associated with that. We'll then need to navigate over to emod, apply that LOS that we promised our CSEO in the comments section, and we'll go ahead and submit all that documentation over to the CSEO for review. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and pause there. Does anyone have any questions about what we've gone over so far?
So we
I
don't
mean,
see
I
any,
do have a couple.
yeah, I was gonna say, I don't see any related specifically to the demonstration, but
Okay.
there are, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. If we don't have any questions related to the demonstration, then what we'll do is go ahead and take a look at Quick Updates 2.0. what's coming down the pike and what's available now for quick updates 2.0. So as a part of the quick updates 2.0 effort, FCP now has 2 additional compliance flags listed in the quick updates modal, like Paula had mentioned earlier. So vendors can now select missing invalid and self hits only when generating the proposed removal file. So missing invalid, this is one of those data integrity flags. And this means that the vendor provided product details with missing or invalid information, which prevents a market research match. So at this point, the vendor is going to be expected to review the report to determine what's missing, correct information, and then submit a new action to generate a new market research result. Okay. And, the CSEO is going to be expected to review any lingering missing or invalid flags and direct the vendor to correct the submission. In terms of the self hits only, that's a pricing and manual research flag. And basically this means that we have not found any competition to compare pricing, and manual market research for those items is going to need to be performed. So removing self hits only via the quick updates feature is a really good way to separate items that need manual research from the ones that have already received automated research. And just keep in mind that, supporting documentation can be added in eMod when submitting the modification for review. Okay. So what we've got here is a comparison, and the remaining slides that we're going to see are comparisons of what we've currently got in FCP on the left and what we plan to employ into FCP here on the right. Okay, so this slide is related to the catalog overview page, and this is going to display more information from the CMP report. As you can see, there's more compliance flag information here baked in. The report snapshot is going to include that data flag information, as well as the issues that are discovered during market research. And then performing a quick update will now be able to, or the user will be able to in the future, perform a quick update directly from this page instead of from the modal, right? So the next update we've got here is related to the review CMP results summary. Right, so the CMP results summary section will continue to display the market threshold breakdown, status and pricing information, and issues of concern. The presentation of this information in that page has just been reformatted, and it's going to just basically display this data in a more user-friendly outline. I believe these updates here are a result of user feedback, right? Vendors saying, hey, I want to be able to see this. This doesn't work for me. And we listened to you guys and we curated the Quick Updates 2.0 to support the feedback that you guys gave us. So thank you so much for being involved in that process. It's been great. So the next section here, applying the quick updates comparison here. So this has also changed a bit, I think, for the better. This is our current UI. As you can see, exceed market threshold, all these different flags that are listed don't necessarily give you much information, right? Like I had to make note that the flags to be removed from that CMP were exceed market threshold, right? I had to go in and actually make that mental note. Now, or in the future, users will be able to see which flags are associated with the different issues of concern, right? You can do a wide sweeping removal and select all the issues of concern. You can select all the compliance issues of concern. or you can select individual flag types, right? So this dynamic selection process is going to make your lives a lot easier, and we're excited about it. Okay. And then lastly, the compliance and pricing report. This page will also display more information about the recent quick update. The report snapshot, like we had mentioned earlier, that's going to display the breakdown of the number of the flags and the relative issues of concern. And you can note that the product file is listed, right? And then lastly, the quick updates results provided a snapshot or going to provide a snapshot of the report after quick updates have been made to reflect to rectify those flag products. So we anticipate these updates to be in place sometime by the end of the summer. So please be on the lookout for that. There will most certainly be correspondence to you guys about these upcoming enhancements, and we're excited about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause there. Do we have any questions?
Is there a limit on how many products can be added for the report to be generated?
I think it's like 500,000 products, something like that.
Okay. We will post the Q&A, so I will let you know. We'll answer that question and post it to give you the official number.
Yeah, let's follow up with that.
we'll do.
I apologize. I don't know that.
That's
I'm
okay.
not certain of that off the top of my head. But for whatever reason, 500,000 rings a bell.
Comes to mind. Yes, we will
Yeah.
definitely ask on that. And then in the quick update, could there be a way to check a box when the vendor is the manufacturer of the products?
That's a good question.
Okay.
That's a good question.
You can take that back.
Yeah, Paula, I, I'd like to get that. I'd like to get that down and
Yep,
take it to the team.
absolutely.
Yeah, so if you could share that with me, is that in the chat?
Yep.
Okay.
It's in the Q&A box, and you'll get it.
Okay.
We'll have a log of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and then we had one other question unrelated to this topic. So I did want to go through, so are you done with your presentation, Jacob?
Yes, ma'am, I am. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I did want to just give you a few more, we will share the slide deck after and post it to, I believe we should post it to Interact, sorry, can't speak today. So I wanted to give you guys some resources. We do have our mass modification guidance page. Please make sure to look at that. The mass modification guide is published there, and it gives you step-by-step processes for submitting your modification. I did also want to give you guys a quick plug. I don't know if you've used this before, but if not, this is a catalog management site. You need to join this because you're going to learn about a lot of things if you join this. In fact, lo and behold, here we have the most recent updates to the quick update process right here published for your enjoyment. So definitely get on this Interact community and join that, and so that you can be made aware of updates as they come in. So I just really want to show you that today. We have a bunch of FCP resources, some videos for you, and then you always have the vendor support to go to. So please be aware of these resources and use them. And if you have any questions or concerns related to this topic or any others, please contact the Mass Program Management Office. Those people in that picture do not work for the Mass Program Management Office, but it's a lovely picture. The email address is masspmo@gsa.gov, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Now, I guess we can go into the remaining questions and see if anyone else has other questions. I'm going to stop sharing my slide deck, and I'm going to open up the question. So we have an anonymous question related to another question. It was about vendors that their pricing may perhaps not be updated in a timely manner. So it is impacting the market thresholds. We will follow up with this question at a later time when we have a time to discuss it with everybody. So we will follow up with that question. If not qualified for expedited, If not qualified for expedited review, what is the normal processing time for ad mods? That would depend on your CO, the complexity of the mod, the number of products that are included in the mod. So I cannot give you a hard set time frame, but it will take longer, and it depends on the COCS that you have as well. Dana, do you have anything to add to that question?
No, I was
Okay.
gonna say it varies. It's hard to put a time frame on that.
Is there any other questions today that we have, or there's only two? Let's see, we can go to the chat, see if there's anything there. Nope.
Yeah,
So
I don't
think
see
that's
any in
all
the,
for-
yeah, I was gonna say, I don't see any in the chat. But if you do think of a question after, you can use that masspmo@gsa.gov that Paula had suggested or provided to you.
Hey, Dana, I had a follow-up on the number of products that can be added,
Sure.
and it's 2 million.
Boy, oh boy, you can submit a lot.
Yeah, that's
Please
right.
don't, but you can.
That's Spencer.
Thank you for
That's
looking into
thank
that,
you.
Jacob.
You bet. Sorry, I didn't know off the top of my head.
That is a lot. That's nice. Okay, so the take homes for this today,
I got
if you want to get your mod through more quickly and efficiently, submit that mod through that quick update process and get rid of the items with those flags, and make sure you submit your mod in accordance with the requirements. And, you know, in your cover letter, you might even say something about, you know, this mod is a clean mod, or, you know, you're working to submit as a clean mod for expedited review, and that you've removed any flags, and that might help get them mod processed more quickly as well.
I do see one more question. When does the quick updates begin? They're live right now, right?
Yep.
Yep. The quick
Ooh,
updates are live.
My voice broke, but yes.
You were excited about it, Paula.
I was so excited. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop the recording real quick.